So let's dig back deep into our brain. Maybe even back into your notebook. What are some multiplication strategies, tools to solve a multiplication problem that we have learned? This might not be what you use now, because you've learned better strategies, but what's something we have learned? Hunter, what's one?
What do you call it? It has the bar shape where you put the sticks on it. Balance? Yeah, the balance sheet.
That's not going to solve a multiplication equation. That's going to solve an expression with two equations on each side. How do I solve just multiplication? Ashlyn? I could make an array. Another version of an array that we learned is called what? Kylie? What's another version of an array that we have learned? Gio? A fast array. Can someone explain the difference? What's the difference between a regular array and a fast array? Cade, what's the difference? Yeah, so if I'm doing a real array, I'm putting all my rows and columns, all the dots. For a fast array, I'm making kind of like an outline. I'm doing one row and one column, and I can fill in the array with my brain. I don't have to draw all the dots. What's another strategy that we've learned to solve a multiplication equation? Vera? Break apart. This is probably my favorite. Break apart, where we break apart one of the factors into easier ones, preferably 2's, 5's, and 10's, to solve a multiplication equation. Aiden?
Make a 10.
Make a 10. Is that going to be for...
Oh, that's not multiplication.
That's going to be more for addition.
Make a multiplication.
What you thinking, Bria?
How the circles and dots?
Circles and dots. Way back. Think about your 5's or your 2's. What strategy do you usually use to solve those? Lainey? Yeah. Some of you are really good skip counters, and you might use skip counting a lot for other multiples. Ashlyn, can you think of another one? Is that going to be for multiplication? Anything else you can think of? Is a bar model helping you solve the multiplication equation? It helps you get to a multiplication equation, but it's not actually there to help you solve it. And then the last one, which we've been working on, a lot of you have been working on, which is just memorization.
Memorization?
Memorizing your math facts.
Yeah. Or just like the schema.
No, that's not schema. Huh? It's not the same thing. Bria? Yeah. A lot of you have started to do that. You should have your 2's, 5's, and 10's memorized. And then going from there, some of you have started to memorize other math facts, which is good. So this is a list of all of our strategies that we have learned so far. Some of these you might not use anymore. I don't think very many of you are drawing arrays anymore. I don't think many of you, some of you still do circles and dots. A lot of you will use break apart. A lot of you will use skip counting. And a lot of you have started memorizing, which is fine. All of those strategies are fine. And honestly, at the end of the day, I don't care what you use as long as we're doing something for multiplication. Okay, we're good? Alright. What does multiplication mean in English? If you could make this your subtitle underneath our list. In math, we've talked a lot about translating from math language into English, so we understand what this means. What does multiplication mean in English. How do I translate a multiplication symbol into something for English? If I see something like maybe a small multiplication of numbers, how do I translate that into English? Aiden? Yeah. It's going to be groups of. So this will literally translate to 2 groups of 6. Can you picture 2 groups of 6? Yeah. If we're just doing circles and dots, I might have 2 circles with 6 in each. If I'm doing a bar model to get here, here's my bar. I have my 2 groups with 6 in each. Okay. This should be a little bit of duh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Just write it down just to refresh your brain, but it should be duh. And use a multiplication strategy to find 7 times 6. Go ahead and write just the equation down. Which strategy would you like to use? Mason, please stop doing that. Which strategy would you like to use? Adam? Break apart. I like break apart. I'm a big fan. Which factor would you like to break apart, the 7 or the 6? 7. Alright. What am I breaking the 7 into?
5 and 2.
I like it. I like my 5s and 2s. Could I do 5 and 3?
Yeah.
Could I do 1 and 2?
No.
No, my break apart has to still add up to whatever number I did. This is like mini part whole. Yeah. Alright, now what? I've broken my 7, but now what do I do? What do I do with it? Kylie, what do I do with it?
5 or 2 and times it, multiply it by 6.
Good. So I'm going to take one part of my 7, 5 times 6. That's one part of my 7. And then I do the other part, 2 times 6. What do I do with these 2 mini equations? Do I multiply them?
42.
Do I divide them? Lily Marie, what do I do with them? What does that mean? What do I do with them? Do they go together?
Just add them.
And then I add them together. Billy, I would love all those great thoughts with a hand, please. Alright, so what is 5 times 6? We should all know that one. What is 5 times 6? Go through your 5s. Nick? You know 5 times 6? Mason?
30.
30. What's 2 times 6? Another one we should know. We know our 2s. Skip count by our 2s. Bria? 12. 30 plus 12. Garrett? 42. 42. Any other strategies you could have done?
Yes.
Mason?
The math strategy.
What
I forgot the name.
does it look like?
Doesn't have to.
We just wrote a bunch of strategies down. Look in your notebook. Dorian? An array? Sure. An array, it might look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I just did a fast array, but that would totally work. Lily Marie? Skip counting. If you know your 7s or your 6, go for it. Go for it. Hunter? Yeah, maybe you already have your 7s memorized or your 6 memorized. Kylie? Yeah, how many circles would I draw?
42.
Kylie, how many circles would I draw?
6.
6, that'll work. What goes in each circle? 7. Yeah, that'll work. I have 6 groups of 7. Lainey?
What if you, it's a large number for both of the numbers, and you can't do all those circles?
I would not choose that strategy. So Lainey brings up a good point. She said, well, what if we're multiplying a big number? Don't do that, because you'll be here all day, right? We've talked about not doing arrays for big numbers, because doing all those dots is insanity. I would probably stick with break apart for big numbers. Okay? Give you a few seconds to get this written down so you have a couple strategies in your notebook. Because this is really what you're going to need to do. It's not so much can you multiply, because a calculator can multiply. It's can you think, how can I use multiplication, or how can I get to multiplication from a bar model, from a word problem.
Answer sense.
Some kind of answer sense. We need to know what we're counting. What am I counting in this problem? Mason?
We are counting how many books is on a shelf.
Not on a shelf.
Well, on several shelves.
Yeah. How many books does Sarah have? So line books. Stop. Stop.
Books on each shelf.
Stop. Blank books. You need to have this written down, please. Next step. We know what we're counting. What is my next step? Kylie? I need to draw my bar. We always start with our whole. Do I know the total amount of books she has?
No.
I don't. That's the whole point of my question.
Oh.
So my whole is question mark. But I know some things. Grayson, what do I know? She does have 4 shelves. How do I show that she has 4 shelves in my bar? Just writing a 4? How do I show 4 shelves in my bar model? Billy?
You put 9 books in that.
No. Lainey? I'm putting my boxes. So each box is a shelf. I'm not writing the number 4, but I'm showing the number 4 because I have 4 boxes. It's kind of like doing 4 circles for my circles and dots strategy. Lily Marie? Yeah, so then I know that I have 9 books on each shelf. Here's shelf 1. It gets 9 books. This gets 9 books. This gets 9 books. This gets 9 books. What equation can I make with that? I could make a couple equations. Henner, what's 1?
Times.
Okay, can you tell me the equation?
4 times 9.
4 times 9 equals blank. I like it. What else could I come up with? Kate? Sure, I could always do some version of division. Probably not going to be the best option since I don't know what my box is. Aiden?
9 plus 3 is 9 plus 3.
Yes, go back to repeated addition. We didn't talk about that strategy earlier, but just doing part plus part plus part plus part, that repeated addition. Bria?
I think like this is there for the other people this way, but they do
What?
it 4
Sure.
5 times.
Sure. I could flip it around and do 4 9 times. That would work. Gia?
9 times 4.
We've already got that. But yeah. Alright. Solve this equation. When you have figured out what the product is or what the sum is, give me a secret sum. If you need to do another strategy, circles and dots, break apart, something, go ahead and write that down too.